Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me once again. And today in Ascension WoW, I'm gonna go over my build for spell DPS. Now, one thing you guys should know before we begin is that if you guys already have problems maintaining your aggro, this build is not gonna help you. So definitely you should invest a little bit of time getting either some trinkets, some abilities, or maybe some talents to reduce your aggro, your threat, because it hits hard. I mean, as you can see on the video, I'm pretty much one-shotting many of these bosses and mobs, I should say. They're not really elites or anything else, anything special, but still, I'm one-shotting them, and there is nothing wow about my gear. I'm actually spec'd more for melee hybrid than anything else, and my gear is actually reflected as such. I do have some things that definitely help me with my spell damage, but nothing wow. They're pretty much all blue except for my staff, essentially. So definitely you guys may want to invest a little bit of extra time in getting some trinkets or something to reduce your aggro. That being said, like I said, this is my build for spell DPS, and I decided to make this build specifically because, you know what, with everything and all the freedom that we have with Ascension, I mean, why not, right? I don't really have to hold back and say, you know what, I'm gonna only play a Warlock. Why would I want to? Or I'm only gonna play a Mage. So I can kind of go in and make this my own. As you guys can see from the bars and the spells that I have, everything is really tailored to pure DPS. There's some CC, nothing like extraordinary, obviously, but there are some for CC that do also do a lot of damage. So this build is specifically for fire frost DPS. So the frost part is really for crippling the opponent, making sure that you reduce your speed to be able to dish out even more damage. And the fire, well, this is where the DPS comes in. So just right off the bat, you guys can see I have Soulfire. So the reason why I specifically chose Soulfire over Pyroblast, which is a very similar type of spell. Yes, Pyroblast, you have the dot that stays in and potentially deals a little bit more damage to it. The problem is that this build is kind of trying to one-shot your mobs. So I know there's other spells that I could have used added to be able to do that, but I chose it like this specifically because I want to be able to deal as much, damage as I can, not necessarily depending on crits or anything else. I just want to make sure that when I hit that button, that mob falls. That's, at the end of the day, that's pretty much it. So I preferred Soulfire just because I find it hits a little bit harder if you don't take into consideration the dot. And in addition to that, I mean, the casting time is a lot less. So every point anything seconds does help. After that, as you can see, I also have some AoE, like Rain of Fire, just to make sure that, when I have multiple mobs that you guys are gonna see a little bit on in the video, that they go down very fast, very easily. So I think I'm gonna go through a little bit about the specs, what I've taken, what I've used, and how my character is actually built. So again, if you guys have any questions of, gear stuff, I'm not nowhere near geared as they should be. So like I said, most of these are really more melee gear that I have, with some DPS and crit that's associated to it. My hit is pretty high, but that's pretty much it. So here's one of the trinkets that I'm currently using to make sure that I reduce my aggro. Don't really have much else, but at the same time, I'm pretty comfortable on how to control my threat. So I'm starting off with the Mage. So blink to get away from, life-threatening mobs that can just one-shot me. This one, the Mage armor, to reduce a little bit of DPS and give me some extra mana. Very important because I do not have life tap. Blast Wave for the DPS and the CC. And as well as the Dragon's Breath. Exact same reason, CC and DPS. They both hit very hard. So when it comes to Frost, obviously, Frostbolt. We have Frost Nova to make sure that I keep them in place. Again, CC. Same thing over here for the Cone of Cold. Right? It doesn't really hit very hard, but it reduces their speed. And if really shit hits the fan, well, we have Ice Block. So very important there. After that, well, it's really just kind of improving my Frost spell. So obviously reducing the cooldown, some critical strike bonus. We have additional damage. We have range. And I think one of my favorite ones here is the Icy Veins. So I could get Bloodlust, but I find this costs a little bit less. It's just for me, yeah, but still. Winter's Chill, right? Very important to have when you're any type of frost spell. And some additional DPS. Very important as well. Very important. Definitely recommend this. So as a pally, again, just for some extra mana. And an additional stun. Just because. You never know when they might come in handy. When it comes to the Shaman, nothing special. A little bit of Frost Shock for same reason as the Frostbolt. And everything else right now is Warlock. So we're starting off with the Demonology. Yes, I have a demon. Don't really use it that much. It's more for the Soul Link to reduce my damage in case I do pull aggro. And at the same time, you have Master Demonologist for that extra damage and damage reduction. If I do need some help, well, I still have my Felguard to be able to help me. So, basic Warlock fire spells, Rain of Fire, Emulate, and Soulfire, as we discussed before. And everything else is really surrounding that. So, you have Bane for reducing the casting time. You also have what's called Ruin, just to have some bonus critical damage. Obviously, increase critical damage. And Shadowburn, I mainly took Shadowburn. I know it's not fire or frost, but I just wanted some extra nuke there. So very important. I find fire spells don't really have that much for that. So I took that Shadowburn, some range, some channel, so they won't break my what's called my casting. Some additional DPS, confligrate. I can never pronounce that correctly. Soul Leech, definitely recommended, just to have some additional healing plus mana. So if you take both of them, the Soul Leech plus the improved Soul Leech will not only heal you, will also give you mana. So definitely recommended. Every little bit helps here. And same thing here, some additional DPS. Pardon me. Some additional DPS. And you also have your Shadow Bolt. So this is your most powerful one. It's on a cooldown, but it's your most powerful one. Goes through any absorbed effects. Like first thing that comes to mind is your Priest Shield. Not immunity spells. Like if you have a Paladin and he bubbles up, don't even bother taking him down. You can't. You just plain will not take him down. It will not go through any of this stuff, right? So this is my version of pardon me, this is my version of my spell DPS. So you're gonna see in the videos that it hits very hard. And the reason for that is because everything and anything I could find from any spell, from any class to increase my damage is really anchored to increasing the damage for fire spells. Really nothing else. So there's nothing there for survival. There's nothing there for, can I say, like resistance or healing me. It's really take this person down as much and as fast as humanly possible. So you guys have to be careful if you're deciding to PvP with this, especially if you're not used to playing a spellcaster. They can definitely one-shot you, even if you have plate armor and still focus on, you know, crit and intellect because of the pally gear. You don't have a lot of defenses. That being said, for PvE, great for bosses. So if they need some additional DPS and you start pumping up your Soulfire and your Chaos Bolt, I mean, damage meters, you're going to be off the chart, and that boss is going to go down very fast. So you guys, you can see a little bit more of the gameplay, how it plays, how it handles with bosses, mobs, elites. I went through a little bit of a video to show you guys how it plays. This is more of a, again, PvE build, but really spell DPS. So tell me what you guys think, if you like it or not. Do you have any suggestions, or do you even like it? I mean, maybe you guys have some additional things that I did not consider. Yes, survival is going to be hard with him, so you have to be careful that they do not really come near you. But this is where you have your Frost Nova and your Blink as well to make sure that you avoid these people, right? So I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me your opinion. What would you add? What would you remove? Or if you like it. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. And until next one.
I don't
peace.
have a target. That spell isn't ready yet. I need a target. First. closer.